Good morning. Today we're on a different stage, a natural stage. And welcome to the Recall to the Best Stages. My name is Lea Miranda.
And I am Cassie, and our quest of today is one of the greatest poets of the Romantic age. But first of all, we're going to tell us something about his history.
His origins are from an aristocratic family, and he was educated in Eton and in Oxford. Also, he is trying to fight against oppression and injustice because he was bullied in his early educated years.
He used to love the philosophy and even the orthodoxy. He collaborated with the necessity of the atheism, and he married with Mary Wilstrom.
He wrote erudite poems with the topics about violence and oppression, failures, and more oppression.
Remember that the era affected the way of thinking of the
So, after this short summary about his life, we want to know how is this reflected. We want to know the magic that is happening on his mind.
And now that we know all his life, we want to present him. We want to be part of him. We want to present Percy, Vichy, Shelley.
First, we want to start with a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
We want to know how to understand you.
Okay.
And we want to know what is happening in your mind and how you reflect this on your writing. First question. Do you reflect your feelings about the love of your life in your poems?
I have always had this image of a perfect love, but that wasn't the factor that made my poems grow. What really makes my poems grow is that they let me be free. They teach me about nature. I can express myself through nature and obviously through my words.
This can lead us to an important question we all want to know. What is skepticism for you? Is the ideal relationship with this?
Yes, well, I really used to interpret symbols and new symbols, I have to say. But skepticism is a word, it's a tool that helped me to interpret things. I like to play with that, with skepticism, because it makes me make the use of more things and makes my poems more rich. And also, I think that skepticism is the key of knowledge.
Oh, thank you. So,
This is fantastic. I love the way you think.
Really?
Even though I don't really know what you're talking about. Well, it doesn't matter. We know we could discover something about your poems, that you're not afraid of telling the truth. You're not afraid of presenting your work. Tell us about that.
I believe in issues we have to explore more. We need to take risks, to go to the controversial side. Even though no one really notices it, we have to take those risks.
and I want to ask you about the relationship with all those meanings. You gave to the word imagination. What do you really think about it?
Well,
Well,
I-
we know your words. We know your exactly words, what you're thinking about. I want to cite them. Okay. A man, to be greatly good, must imagine intensely and comprehensively. He must put himself in the place of another and of many others. The pains and pleasures of his species must become his own. The great instrument of moral good is the imagination, and poetry administers to the effect by acting upon the cause. Poetry enlarges the circumference of the imagination by replenishing it with his thoughts of ever new delight, which have the power of attracting and assimilating their own nature of all the thoughts, and which form new interstices whose void forever craves fresh food. Poetry strengthens the faculty which is the organ of the moral nature of man. It is the same matter as exercise strengthens a limb.
Oh, well, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
And we know that your first job, your first big job, Queen Man, was inspired on the or done under philosophical terms. Is that true?
Well, yes, it was completely dumb like that, but well, it was based on a friendship I had. It was my friend William Godwin. And well, it's kind of awkward, but I have to do this. Hi! How are you? Sorry, I have to do that. He doesn't believe me I was going to be on TV, so. Well, going back to what you asked me, well, yes, it was very. Well, it was the way he really thinks about.
Thank you. You can continue.
Okay,
Just because
yes.
the helicopter.
It was a bomb. It was a bomb. Well, I have to tell you that it's real free thinking about my real good friend, and also it was socialist philosophy.
What have been the hardest and the most controversial themes for your poems that you have talked about?
Well, there's a poem called Leon and Cynthia, and well, it was very controversial because I talked about two themes that were so drastic, incest and religious. I know those themes are really difficult to talk about, but someone has to do it.
Oh wow, that's why you moved to England?
Well, not actually. I moved there because I got with my wife, and there I wrote the most of my works. For example, Prometheus, it was done in 1820, and I wrote it 2 years before I go there.
Wow, that's a large trajectory around the European world.
Stretchy.
As we can see, this is incredible involvement in a world full of what is this around, and the pleasure to feel him while his poem is exceptional is a praise and vehemence for us. And now the most important moment, the moment of the night. The moment of the night of this show, the moment that we are waiting for our famous critical analysis of our favorite West poems.
We have chosen one poem from all that you have. We have made an analysis for the audience and a gift for you. Please sit here and listen to us.
Wow, thank you. That's so exciting.
First was off to the west wind, oh wind, west wind, to breath of autumn's beat, to from whose onset presence the leaves dead are driven like ghosts from an enchanted flame.
Yellow and black and pale and helget red, pestilence stricken multitudes, although who caryatides to their dark wintry death. The winged sets where they lie cold and low, each like a corpus with its grave unto. Fine Ashwood, sisters of the spring shall blow her clarion to the dreaming nerve, and feel riding sweet buds like floods to feed in earth, with living hues and odors plain and hue. While the spirit, which art moving everywhere, destroying and preserving, her, oh her, though on whose chin lit the steep sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves unshed, shook from the tugboats of heaven and ocean. Angels of rain and lightning that are spread on the blue surface of fine airy starch, like the bright hair uplified from the head of some fierce Ninad, even from the dim verge of the horizon to the zenith's height, the logs of the approaching storm, though dirge, of the dying year to which this closing night will be the dawn of our vast purple. bathed with all tight concrete might of vaporous from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail would burst. Oh, here! Thudas did his wake from his summer dreams, the blue Mediterranean, where he lay, dulled by the coil of his crystalline streams, beside Apami's isles in Bay's Bay, and saw in sleep all palaces and towers quivering with the waves' ancestor day. All overgrown with azure moss and flower, so sweet the saints find picturing them, though the worst part the Atlantic's little towers clip themselves into tanks, while far below the sea blooms and the oozy woods which were the shapeless foliage of the ocean. No. 5 boys, and suddenly grow white with fear, and tremble and spoil themselves. Oh, here! If I were a dead leaf, thou canst bear, if I were a swift cloud to fly with thee, a wave to the hand beneath thy power, and share the impulse of the pine straight only let free, and though uncontrollable, if even I were as a boyhood, and could be the comrade of thy wanderings over heaven, as then when the outstrip thy skiff speed, scarce in a vision, I would near have striven. As thus with the prayer in my sore need, oh, leave me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. I follow you from the currents of light I bless. A heavy weight of thirst has turned above, one to lighter, trainless, and swift, and proud. Make me thy lyre, even as the forest is. What is my leaves are falling like its own? The tumult of mighty harmonies. We take from both and deep infinite tone, sweet thought and sadness. Me thought spirit first, my spirit, me thought me, imposed one. Drive my head thoughts over the universe, like withered leaves, to the quicken a new birth, and by the invocation of this verse. Skated as from an extinguished heart, ashes and sparks, my words sound making, me from my lips to unawake ear. The trumpet of a prophecy, oh wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind?
I love how you recite
And the first important fact when you read a poem, it's the perfect melody that Shelley uses metaphors in the way that sounds perfect. It's really awesome. This is perfect. The organization, the way you make us feel your essence, the nature, the feelings that we have in our hearts. It's awesome.
I really appreciate you really looked for how I make the poem sound like a west wind.
The opening 3 stanzas. Here they go. Oh, wild west wind, thou breath of autumn spring, though from whose unseen presence the leaves death are driven like ghosts from an encounter fleeing. Yellow and black and pale and hectic red, pestilence striking multitudes. O thou who carried yes to their dark wintry bed, the wind that sits where they lie cold and low, each like a corpse within its grave, on the fine azure sister of the spring shall blow. This introduces us to the west wind as a powerful melody that roams in land, ocean, and sky.
The poem is
And that is the pleasure of the poets to be heard.
The poem is based on the different meanings to live, and in the first stanza said, "Oh wild west wind, through breath of autumn's wing, through from whose unsense presence the leaves dead are driven like ghosts from enchanted film. Our wits which are like dead slaves were in the next 2 other stanzas. Yellow and black and pale and erected red, pestilence taken multitudes of thought. who cherished to their dark wintry bed. Change this leaves idea into a perfect and restored one, just as Shelley's image for forests.
In the next stanza, her clarion air to the dreaming earth, and feel driving sweet buds like flocks to feed in air, with living hues and others plain and hue. Shelley puts himself as leaves and asks the west wind why it can lift him just as the bed lifts. We have to remember that the wind is the creation or imagination of the poets. Would be a pleasure to be touched by the powerful and energetic wind.
At the last stanza, he trumped up the prophecy of wine. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? Well, so we could identify the end of this metaphor. Shelley falling just at his works. So, applauses for Shelley!
Well, thank you. It's an honor to me to you to express that you admire me and my work. It's just awesome. Thank you.
People, thank you for this emission.
We're so glad to have him here. We are honored to have this guest here, and we hope to have him in our next show. So, thank you. Thank you, Shelley.
Shelley.